These are handcuffs. They're real, and I've carried them for years. As a police officer, I've clicked them shut more times than I can count. On drunk drivers who hurt and killed innocent people without even remembering the crash. On violent offenders who beat up people half their size. On thieves who didn't care who they victimized as long as they got away with something. And once on a teenager holding a knife who didn't want to hurt anyone else. He just wanted to hurt himself. These cuffs weren't punishment. They were protection. That's what these are for. To keep the peace, to bring dangerous situations under control, to restrict movement. I've used them to restrain others, but now, as a captain and executive leader, I feel like I wear them myself. In government, the most common handcuffs aren't made of steel. They're made of policies, outdated systems that trap ideas, stall change, and choke progress. The restraints I worry about now, they don't wrap around risks. They wrap around ideas, around change, around innovation. You see, I've spent my entire career inside government, inside the very institutions that people like to call bloated, broken, and behind the times. And honestly, sometimes they are. But it's not because the people who work in government don't care. It's because the systems are built to avoid failure, not create progress. They're designed for stability, not speed, for compliance, not creativity. And in an ever-changing world, that is a dangerous way to operate. Innovation in government shouldn't be rare, it should be routine. So that's the question that I want to explore with you today. What would it take to unlock government from the handcuffs that keep it from evolving? Think about the last time you dealt with government. Renewing your driver's license, filing a claim, applying for a permit. Now compare that to the ease of ordering an Uber. How about renewing your passport? You gather documents, print out forms, mail them in, and then you wait weeks, sometimes months. No updates, no visibility. But when I lost my American Express card, I opened the app, clicked twice, and Amex shipped me a new card overnight with tracking updates. Need to enroll your child in public school or apply for financial aid? Expect to print PDFs, mail in copies, and then hope somebody gets back to you. Need to report a broken streetlight or pothole? You navigate an outdated city website, try to guess the right department, fill out a clunky form, and then wait for somebody to get back to you eventually. But have you ever ordered the wrong size shoes online? You go to the website, tap return, and your refund is processed before you've even finished sealing the box. At work, it can take me 6 months to go through the procurement process. Not because the purchase is complex, but because government is terrified of moving too fast. Meanwhile, I go home, open Amazon, and that same product is delivered to my doorstep within hours. Private systems were built to serve the customer, but government systems, they're built to survive scrutiny. And when people call government inefficient, it's not the people they're talking about, it's the structures they're trapped in. And truthfully, it's exhausting. This isn't just about frustration, it's about the fundamental role that government plays in our lives. The lack of progress makes us ask, why does government struggle to innovate? And more importantly, how can we change that? There are a few reasons. Government is built on layers of bureaucracy, designed to ensure accountability, prevent corruption, and create checks and balances. But those same layers can slow decision-making to a crawl and make change feel nearly impossible. Even well-intentioned policies can become rigid obstacles when they're applied without flexibility. Then there's fear of rocking the boat, especially in politically stable environments, where the status quo feels safer than taking risk. Because in government, change comes with scrutiny. And mistakes, they're not just internal setbacks, they become headlines, fuel political opposition, and jeopardize careers. Unlike business, government doesn't face competition. A struggling business that fails to innovate and loses customers goes under. But government doesn't operate under those same constraints. It's not like you can shop around for a different IRS or TSA, which means there's very little external force driving reform. There's no consequence for inefficiency, so government prioritizes stability over progress. At its core, the incentives just aren't aligned. Government isn't rewarded for innovation, it's punished for instability. So government leaders often default to the safest option, not changing a thing. There's no penalty for doing it the same way year after year. So we burn through every dollar in our budget, because if we don't, we might not get that money next year. That's not strategy, that's fear. We cling to outdated programs because we've already invested in them, not understanding the sunk cost fallacy that private industry is faster to walk away from. And in government, when we ask, why do we do it this way? The answer is almost always because that's the way we've always done it. But here's the good news. Change is possible. Peter Drucker, the father of modern management, gave us a powerful concept called planned abandonment. It's the idea that to move forward, organizations must let go of what no longer works. He said that we have to put every process, program, and policy on trial for its life. And then he asked a deceptively simple question. If we weren't already doing this, would we start it today? If the answer is no, we should not be doing it at all. Now let's bring this closer to home. Take a look at your closet. If it's anything like mine, it's overflowing with clothes that I bought years ago and haven't worn in ages. Stuff that no longer fits, or that I wouldn't be caught dead wearing in public today. But for some reason, I just can't get rid of them. Maybe I'm attached to what they used to represent, or maybe I think I'll need them someday. But here's the truth. If I don't make room, I can't bring in anything new. Government works the exact same way. We hold on to programs not because they still serve a purpose, but because they once did, or because nobody wants to be the one to pull the plug. Drucker said that kind of thinking is dangerous, and he warned us about clear failures that should be eliminated. Yesterday's breadwinners, once successful programs, now blocking progress. And also rans, mediocre efforts that quietly drain resources without contributing real results. And the worst, the ones that seem productive, but consume far more than they give back. Planned abandonment isn't about failure, it's about focus. It's not about cutting just to cut, it's about clearing out what no longer works to make space for what does. But this is exactly where government gets stuck. Instead of letting go, we hold on tighter, not because it's working, but because it's already funded. We avoid risk in the name of political safety. And the result? A system built to defend the past, not design the future. Planned abandonment challenges us to ask better questions. Not, how do we keep this alive, but why are we still doing this at all? A government that works for its people isn't just efficient, it's effective and equitable. That means cutting waste, delivering measurable results, and ensuring that no one is left behind. These aren't just ideals, but they're the basis for a functioning society. Although not as common, let me give you a few real-world examples of successful government innovation. In Denver, the city replaced temporary homeless shelters with permanent, supportive housing, partnering with nonprofits to create lasting stability. They housed over 250 chronically homeless individuals, which resulted in a 40% drop in shelter use, arrests, and emergency room visits. In Chicago, the CARE program shifted 911 mental health calls away from the police and toward trained public health teams. Since 2021, they responded to over 1,500 calls with 0 arrests and a use of force rate less than 0.1%. It's a more humane, specialized response, and it frees police to focus on public safety and respond to emergencies. And in San Francisco, physical parking permits were switched to virtual, plate-based parking permits. This reduced paperwork, fraud, and delays, and allowed for faster enforcement through license plate recognition. These were small shifts that resulted in big benefits to customer service. These innovations show us that while challenging, progress in government isn't just possible, it's profoundly impactful. Now imagine if these weren't the exception, but the norm. A government that's responsive, agile, and community-centered. One that prioritizes the well-being of its citizens above all else. That's the vision that I want to share with you today. But we need leaders who choose progress over tradition and systems that let innovation thrive while still maintaining accountability. Here's how government leaders can do that. First, they must create a culture of evaluation and embrace the principles of planned abandonment. That means asking the tough questions about what's working, what isn't, and having the courage to abandon what no longer serves the public. They must reject the notion of constantly having to do more with less. Second, leaders need to empower their teams. Employees should feel safe suggesting new ideas, knowing that they'll be supported instead of met with bureaucratic resistance. And third, leaders need to focus on outcomes. It's not about how many policies are passed or programs are implemented. It's about the measurable, meaningful impact that these have on people's lives. Government can evolve, not by chasing the latest app or trend, but by reimagining what public service looks like in a modern world. It's not about technology. We have the tools. What we lack is the courage to use them. The challenge isn't technical, it's personal. It's our own unwillingness to let go of what's familiar, to abandon the outdated, and when necessary, to fail fast and try again. When we stop designing for paperwork and start designing for people, government can be just as responsive, just as intuitive, and just as human-centered as anything in the private sector. But only if we're willing to act. Today, these represent something else. This is what government does to itself. We wrap ourselves in policies for a world that no longer exists. We waste more time seeking approval than solving problems. We suffocate ideas before they even have a chance to breathe. And worst, we defend it. We protect the very things that hold us back. And then we wonder why nothing changes. But here's the part that should infuriate us the most. We put these on, and we act like we don't have the key. If we want government to move forward by 20%, we need to abandon the broken systems at that same pace. Progress isn't about doing more, it's about doing better. And better starts now with us, the leaders in government. We need bold leaders who stop asking if it's allowed and start asking if it's right. We don't need to wait for change, we need to become it. Because we know what's broken and we know what's possible. The communities we serve deserve better, and we can do better if we choose to. And I'm choosing to.